The City of St. Paul uses the 17 district councils that it has as the place where neighbors can engage in planning for investment across their district. These are the very baseline neighborhood groups: housing, transportation, land use and zoning, all those kinds of things that affect our daily life. Those things happen at planning tables in the district councils.
District councils have focused on home ownership, and the interests then that were expressed have been from those people. So we have an issue that the traditional form has geared towards white homeowners, and we need to make sure that all those residents of St. Paul are included.
We have a diverse mix in our neighborhoods, and what we're looking at is the same demographic shift that the whole United States is looking at. We're increasingly brown, and we're going to be increasingly brown. So lack of proper representation and planning is going to be even more detrimental to communities if all voices are not represented at the table going forward.
Essentially what you're doing is you're planning the landscape for the city for decades to come. And if the populations are not adequately represented, what you end up doing is you end up perpetuating systems that accentuate the racial gaps that we see already.
So in our strategic action plan, we call out a specific level of growth around people of color in the governing body every year so that we can measure whether or not we're incrementally growing closer to greater inclusion.
We need to think about how to first connect people to our organization and let them know what it is that we do, and also to make sure that we are engaging with them in a way that is something that they recognize, that they feel comfortable with, and that tends not to be the traditional public hearing type of meeting. So we're doing things like an open mic, Speakers of Color series for young people at the local library. We have a youth group. We're doing art projects, informal meetings and gatherings where we're engaging with people where they are, and we can introduce ourselves to them and let them know what it is that we can do for the neighborhood and for them.
Historically, the neighborhoods of the West Side have been diverse. Jewish people, German people, Norwegians, Swedes, African Americans, Mexicans, and other Hispanics have moved to the West Side historically as their first landing spot in Minnesota.
Currently, there's a proposed new development that will bring close to 800 units onto the West Side River Flats. This is going to be something that's not integrated into the community. Even we're in the commercial space on the first designs that they're sharing with us, it will be inward facing. So along Roberts Street, the shops would actually be internal. So it's almost like building a community from scratch within a community. We know that this would further segregate populations, and that's not what we want. We actually want to integrate. So it's not that we're anti-development, we're pro-development, but we want equitable development.
Development is not a bad thing on its face. Development is something that's actually a positive for communities. You have to be able to maintain and to grow. The challenge comes in when the development that's happening is not equitable and is not something that the community itself can actually participate in. The biggest problem now is that these organizations that are coming in and wanting to build in the flats a complex with a minimum rent of $1,600 per month. That's so far above and beyond the affordability index for our community that it's laughable. Who is this actually going to benefit? It's certainly not the people that have been historically displaced on the West Side. So in response, the District Council has launched the Action to Equity program. It's a series of meetings that took place to engage the community and let them know any development that happens on the West Side, that they are actually part and parcel of the process.
What I would really like to see is that the West Side can come together and have an honest discussion about what equity would look like on the West Side if we all came together and developed those principles and values and really applied them to every piece of our community. How would that change the way that we look in even 5 years?
By committing to equity, by writing it down, by making a statement about how we're going to get closer, we just hack away at these seemingly intractable things. But I think they're not intractable. I think it's possible that we can see the arc bend even yet in my lifetime, and that these plans are one way of trying to commit to getting there.